Hi, I'm Bob Goulet with Saprex Advanced Materials. We, as most of you have been listening to all the football controversy, where the ball is deflated, did somebody cheat, what's going on? So we were pretty curious about this, and being guys who test materials and do a lot of testing day to day, we figured we'd give it a try ourselves. So we went down to the sports store, we bought 3 footballs, we've inflated them all to 13 pounds of pressure, and here's what we're thinking. So as we've read in the press, these balls have to be between 12.5 and 13.5 psi. We've heard people are inflating them right at 12, right at 13.5, so we thought we'd start right here. Let's inflate the ball to 13. So this room's right around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and they've been in here for a few hours, and that's where we're starting. So what do we want to do? Of course, the big controversy is something around 48 degrees Fahrenheit and rainy. So we've got a cooler of cold water. We're going to take one of the balls and put it in that. We're also curious about football in general, and can you possibly meet this regulation every Sunday? So we're going to try 0 degrees F. We're going to put a ball in the freezer, maybe Chicago or Lambeau Field in early December, and we're going to try 100 degrees Fahrenheit out in the field in Miami in early September. And we're going to see if you started right in the middle, where would you fall? Well, if somebody ran out in the field at halftime and measured the ball, would it be in compliance? So that's what we'll do. We'll take our 3 footballs, just so everybody thinks knows we're being honest. 13 pounds of pressure. 13 pounds of pressure. We'll take our warm weather ball, and our oven's sitting right at 99 degrees Fahrenheit. And we'll throw them into there. We'll take our Foxborough game day ball, and if you look at we've got a cooler of water, it's cold, 46 degrees, and we'll take that ball and we'll put them in there. We'll take our 3rd ball and we'll throw them into the freezer, and then we'll come back in maybe an hour and we'll take a look at these balls and we'll see what we get. Okay, so we're back after about 30 minutes and we're going to look at our footballs. This is our game day simulation. Water's 44 degrees. Ball's been sitting here in the water in the cooler. It's wet, just like the game was. So let's see what we get. So we're right at 11 psi. So in about 30 minutes in 44 degree water, we went from 13 pounds to 11. So that's your game day ball. We're going to drop over here. Our oven's still sitting right at 100 degrees. See what we get. So our South Florida game ball, what does that look like? That ball's over 14 pounds of pressure. So we've got 11, we've got over 14, and then we're going to grab the ball in the freezer. So we're back. We've had our ball in the freezer, just our standard freezer. Lambeau Field in December. Take a look and see what we get. So there's our 13 pounds of pressure after it's been in the freezer for half an hour. It now reads about 9.5 pounds of pressure. We didn't do anything but take that ball, put it in the freezer. You can feel it's a little bit softer. It's a little crunchy, but other than that, we went from 13 pounds to 9.5 pounds in a half of an hour. So what do we got? Let's take a look. Let's come back to our chart. We had our 70-degree football, 13 psi. Our 48-degree football, rainy, that we put in the cooler after 30 minutes, 11 psi. We had our 0-degree football that was in the freezer, coming at like 9.5 psi. And then our 100-degree football came in at over 14. We'll call it 14.2. So what does that mean? On game day, the official goes into the locker room. We'll assume it's about 70 degrees. He measures the football, and it's right here. Halftime, Patriots game. Somebody goes out in the field and says the pressure of the balls is 11, or somewhere over here, right? In Lambeau Field, somebody might have gone out at halftime and said, wow, 9.5 psi. South Florida game, they'd have come over here and they'd say, oh, this ball's at 14.2 psi. What this data would tell us is that probably every team at some point this season has had a ball out on the field that was out of this compliance. Now, one other piece that would be interesting is we could start going back to these balls. They're not going to come back to pressure immediately either. So over the few hours after the game, those balls were brought back into the locker room, and they started to warm up. It's probably going to take a few hours for these balls all to get back to this PSI pressure. And so what have we learned? Over a quick experiment with a couple balls that we picked up at the sports store, we can take a ball, 13 pounds of pressure at 70 degrees Fahrenheit inside, take that ball, put it in something similar to the game we saw in Foxborough. That ball is going to drop to 11. You can take another ball, put it in the freezer at 0, super cold day, but this ball is going to be about 9.5 pounds. You take a ball up to 100 degrees, not in the sun, in the shade, and that ball is going to be over 14. So we'd guess on a really hot day, this ball sitting out in the hot sunshine probably goes over 15. So realistically, across the NFL on game day, a ball that was properly inflated in the locker room 2 hours before the game could vary all the way from 9.5 pounds of pressure to probably over 15 pounds of pressure. Clearly there's something wrong with the way these balls are being handled. It seems to us that you probably want to take these balls and put them out on the field hours before the game, let them come to the temperature of the outdoor, and then adjust the ball pressure right before the game. Seems like that would be a logical thing to do. So I hope this helps. We've had a good time doing this, and clearly everybody wants to talk about it. So this is taking real science and quickly running some experiments and seeing what you get. Let us know what you think.